Well, Jerry, I am so excited that I get to chat with you because I'll say this before we start: is this is one of those things for me that it's partially personal for me because I've known you a little bit over the past
Yeah.
few years, and we've crossed paths so many times, and I think I've seen you at events volunteering for stuff. And I saw you so many times that I think I remember walking up to you and just saying, hey, we seem to cross paths just about everywhere we go. So
Yes.
I'm Johnny, you're Jerry. Let's formally introduce ourselves.
Absolutely, right? We always kind of ran in those same circles and,
Mhm.
like two ships that pass in the night, right? And we
Yeah.
finally stopped and said, you know what? Let's have a conversation. And that's always the best way to do it. That's always the best way.
Yeah. And, and I think I'm trying to remember, I believe it was it was one of the 5Ks that we've had in Southwest Michigan. I think it was one for YMCA.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
The race for the why.
yeah. And, has volunteering always been a big thing in your life? Have you always, felt the need to give a little bit of your time and volunteer for things, or is it just something that you feel obligated to do, or do you just love doing it?
You know what? That's a great question. I've never been asked that question. So that's a good one. I have to think about that one, right? I think my earliest memory of volunteering began in high school when I
Okay.
was a part of the Key Club. And that was a huge component of Key Club is that you gave back to the community that you were in and started volunteering there. And then let's just be honest, I caught the bug, right?
Yeah.
There is no better feeling than when you can give of your time and see smiles on other people's faces or get a authentic thank you or even just knowing that you are doing something
Hmm.
that even if you don't see the end result, at the end of that chain, it's helping someone, right?
Yeah.
So I think I caught that bug in high school and it's been part of me ever since. So it's just a piece of who I am and what I strive to be. And we all have to be an example of what we want to see in the world. So why not start with yourself?
Absolutely. And yeah, volunteering, the bug, you're totally right about that.
Yeah.
And the best part about that bug is that organizations see that and they see that you're willing to do that. And so they ask you about, hey, what do you think about this? Do you have some time to do this? And
Yeah.
and that's the good part too, is that some people will even say, well, I know you're busy, but do you have some time for this? And I'm just like you, where it's, if you have the ability to give a little bit of time and a little bit of yourself, it's so great. And it's also fulfilling to you to do something like that, whether it's, raking leaves for something or helping distribute food to a community member that needs it. But it also,
Absolutely.
it strikes up that conversation too with somebody that you may not know and may not realize is part of your community and may even be somebody that lives just a few blocks away from you.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, right? Not only does all of those things, but it allows you to experience life differently,
Hmm.
right? So many times we stay in our own bubbles, in our own boxes, because that's what's familiar to us, that's what we know. But getting outside of those bubbles and boxes and being able to meet new people and being able to uniquely understand that although there are differences in this world, that when it comes down to it, we are more alike and similar than we are not alike or different, right? And that
Absolutely.
volunteering helps us keep that connection so that we meet others, others meet us. And by doing that, we start to close those gaps, right? We start to
Hmm.
close those gaps that sometimes can be so wide in different communities. So volunteering gives you that different lens, right? And it's part of that formula to make life wonderful and to make life great. Giving back to others helps you live a great life, right? So that's why
Absolutely.
I do it.
So let's backtrack. Let's start from the beginning with young Jerry. What was young Jerry like? You mentioned Key Club. So what
Yeah,
was you went to high school at Benton Harbor, right?
Yep, I'm a 1990 graduate of Benton Harbor High School. I was my senior class president of 1990, born and raised here. And I think my friends will tell you, young Jerry was very similar to old Jerry, right?
Yeah.
Except just a few less pounds, a few less gray hairs. But literally, I think my whole life, and I kind of give this to my parents, right? My
Hmm.
parents raised my two older brothers and my younger sister. And they always taught us from the very beginning that whatever you do, you give your best. Whoever you meet, you show them your best. And whoever is your friend, you make sure that as they become better, you become better as well, right? So I think that has followed me my entire life. And young Jerry was just as rambunctious, always a smile, and really just enjoyed that time period. I played football at Benton Harbor High School. Tried to play basketball, but my friends will tell you I wasn't that great at that one. So I stuck with the pads and the helmet, right? But was very active. So not only did I play football and was class president, also was a part of the drama club along with Key Club. Was also a part of the debate team, along with other activities as well as the track team. My family was very into making sure you were well rounded, right?
Yeah.
So this wasn't about focusing on one thing. It was like whatever was out there that was positive, my parents encouraged us to be a part of
Now, what was drama club like for you? Because I know I grew up as an athletic family where I have four older brothers. They're all multi-sport athletes. Always got into that, and I dabbled, and again, just like you, I tried to play basketball, but
it.
wasn't always the best. I never found it as my thing. Like I was okay
Yeah.
at just about everything, but I had I joined the drama club my senior year, and that to me was life changing, and took me on a totally different path to where I'm at. So, what was drama club like for you? Were you the lead actor? Because I feel like you would be a great supporting actor because you're a hard worker. So you'd be one of those that you learn your lines. So the director
Yes.
would like you, but I feel like you got some comic relief and all that in you. So what was drama club like?
Absolutely. Drama Club was pushing me outside of my bubble again. And I tell you what led up to me being in Drama Club. And I give the credit to two teachers, Mr. Ron Linus from Benton Harbor High School, and Mrs. Wiggins, my speech teacher. For those who don't know, growing up, I had a speech impediment. So had a very severe case of stuttering, and still stutter to this day. It's nothing that you just kind of get rid of. You
Mm-hmm.
learn ways to control it and to bypass it. So for me, at an early age, I always tried to put myself in things that made me be in front, that
Right.
made me get past my fear. So Mrs. Wiggins, my speech teacher, I wrote a speech for MLK Day in high school. And she thought it was so wonderful that she actually helped me go out to a few churches and deliver that speech, right? So at the same time that was happening, and I was really loving that piece of it. Mr. Linus, who ran our Performing Arts Center, was talking to me because he also ran our Key Club,
Yeah.
and he was like, "You know what? You would be good in this upcoming play, which was A Raisin in the Sun." So my acting debut, right, was A Raisin in the Sun, and I played Bobo.
Okay.
And it was one of the best experiences ever. When they say you start acting and you immediately fall in love with the stage, I think that's where I fell in love with the stage, and it
Yeah.
taught me a few things. It taught me perseverance works. It taught me that you can do anything when you put your mind to it. And it also taught me that there are people around you who will support you even when you step out, right? And I stepped out into something different, but I had people there to support me, like Mr. Linus and
Yeah.
Mrs. Wiggins, along with other students that were in drama club as well. And most people will tell you, although I haven't officially uh, acted a lot since high school, people say I'm still an actor, right?
Yeah.
Because in life, there's different scenes in life, and we have to adapt, adjust, and know what the right thing to say is. And so it's all about acting. Taught me how to show my emotions,
Hmm.
right, in an authentic way, and to help influence others, right, because you're asking people to believe in the words that you're saying. So it's
Yeah.
been part of me ever since.
So were you nervous making yourself, learn lines and doing all, because that's
Absolutely.
one aspect that, yeah. And still to this day, I've done so many plays and things like that, but still to this day, I get nervous. But I mean, I'm sure you agree with me. I always say, use that nervousness and channel it into that
Yes.
energy that will help you get to through it. And even if, you mess up a couple lines here and there, it's like you said, that support group around you. You trust them enough, and they trust that you're gonna take the ball and run with it a little bit, and maybe figure
Yeah.
out the scene as well.
Exactly. And the only thing that nervousness shows you is that you're human,
Yeah.
right? That's the only thing it shows you. It has nothing to do with fear, right? It's one of those natural emotions that we as human beings have. And once I figured that out, right, that nerves was a good thing, it meant that I cared enough about this project that I wanted to do it right, right? And once I got past that, right, it was that feeling of I can do anything
Hmm.
and everything, right? So I think every time I speak now, before I speak before a crowd, before I deliver a presentation, I'm always nervous. And that
Yeah.
nervousness is the cue that greatness is coming next. Right. So we have to start to flip some of these feelings, right?
Hmm.
And not focus on the fact that my nerves are getting to me, but that simply means that you are preparing for greatness, right? When you're nervous, that next step is greatness. So take those nerves, turn it around, and turn it into greatness with that next step or that next delivery, right? And that's how I view life is. It's not about being nervous. It's not about being fearful. It's about will this next step be the greatest step that I ever took.
Now, what was it like with you said your parents taught you a lot of things, but what about with your family members, your brothers and sisters, your brothers and your sister? What was that like? What did you guys get along?
Yeah, we did. So I have two older brothers.
Yeah.
And an interesting fact, my two older brothers were born in Brooklyn. So my family came here from Brooklyn. And my sister and I were both born here in Benton
Okay.
Harbor. So my two older brothers were the kind of brothers I really looked up to. Uh, they were both active in sports. They were both very popular. But as all brothers, we wrestled, we played, we had
Oh yeah.
disagreements. But at the end of the day, I knew those were my biggest supporters,
Yeah.
right? And and my little sister is probably gonna hurt me for saying this, but she's the spoiled one in the family.
Always.
The,
Whether you're a boy or a girl, the youngest one is always the spoiled one. And
always right.
I'm the youngest, so I can admit that. I am
Yeah,
happy to admit that.
she never got into trouble for the things she did, but if we did the same thing, oh, we were on punishment, right? But she has grown up to be an amazing lady. She lives in East Lansing now. She's a entrepreneur, has her
Yeah.
own tea company. So we are just extremely proud, and both of my brothers are just great men. And if I can live my life to be like them, I'm a lucky guy.
Yeah, and really the youngest also learns the mistakes of the older
Absolutely.
siblings. But it doesn't sound like you guys had too many mistakes. I mean, it sounds like
No.
your sister and you and your brothers, you learned by example of what right things to do, and I think that foundation probably started with your parents. What brought them
Yeah.
from Brooklyn to Benton Harbor?
Yeah. So my dad was born in a small town right outside of Jackson,
Okay.
Mississippi, and my mother was born in a little town in Monticello, Florida. And in their young teenage years, I think my dad was 16, my mom was probably 18. They both migrated from their small towns to
Hmm.
the big city of New York, and they actually met in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
So at that time, jobs were plentiful there. So they started their family and eventually moved to Brooklyn, where both of my brothers was born. Now we're talking early 70s, right?
Hmm.
Brooklyn, the landscape was starting to change a bit.
Sure.
We actually had family here in Benton Harbor, and the word that there was plentiful jobs here in terms of the industrial type. So
Right.
my parents came to visit, liked it. It was a slower pace than Brooklyn, right? You by the water.
Hmm.
At that time we're talking 1970, right? So we're talking beautiful beaches and things. So my parents came here and liked it and moved here in 71 officially. And I was born in 72. And this has been our home since, right? And, there's no other place that I would call my hometown other than Benton Harbor. Along with my parents, it helped raise me. The community helped raise me. So I feel like it's, the native son has come back, and it's my turn to do the same for others within my city as well.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is that you're much like many people in the community. You have the pride for the community that you grew up in, but also not just sitting and watching anything happen. You're one of those people that you're the engine of change, I guess you would say. You're the one that looks at opportunities, and not just with the volunteering and things that you've done, but you really look at what can I do to make my
Mhm.
community better. And I think that's a great way to look at it for anybody in any community around the world is what can I do to make my community better? Because it's going to be good for me, and it's going to be good for my neighbors, and it's going to be
Mhm.
good for the future of families and generations to come.
Absolutely. And I think that comes directly from my parents, right? My parents always taught us don't be problem speakers, be problem solvers, right? If you can speak the problem, then you can also speak the solution, right? So, what are you doing to speak the solution? What are you doing to be a part of it? And I think for anybody who lives in any city that they regard as their hometown, it is all about how can I give back to my hometown
Hmm.
the way it gave to me. Right. I grew
Yeah.
up playing Little League Baseball at Union Field in Benton Harbor. I grew up playing in the parks down the street from my house. So it's always been my goal to make sure that every other young child has that same opportunity that I had because it really helped shape and mold me. So why can't it be there for others? So that's why I continue to really do the work that I do, but it's
Yeah.
hundreds, if not thousands, of others in this community in Berrien County that's doing similar work, right?
Hmm.
And that's how we make Michigan, Michigan's great Southwest is by
Yeah.
every little person doing their piece to make us the greatest that we can be.
Now you graduated 1990, Benton
Yes.
Harbor. You went to college down in Florida, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I started off in Lansing. I started off
Yeah.
at Lansing Community College. Then I transferred down to Florida A&M in Tallahassee, Florida. But I lived in Monticello, Florida, which is a short drive from Tallahassee. So I
Yeah.
lived in my mother's hometown for a
That's
while,
cool.
right? Which gave me this great perspective because I had a chance to see where my mom grew up. I had
Hmm.
a chance to really engage with family members and friends that were still in that area that knew my mom as a young child. So
Yeah.
that was just this great journey. And then I came back here, moved back to the area in 93 ish, and started working for the Loft Teen Center with Sister Mary Jo Holmes. So, and that began my true investment in community and giving back. So that was really a huge part of my early career that still continues to shape me today.
Yeah. So what do you do on your free time? Because it doesn't sound like you have much free time.
Well, I pretend to play golf.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you got some new clubs a while back, didn't you?
Yes,
Last year, I think.
yeah, I did, and I tell you, but this kind of tells the story of Michigan's great Southwest. Uh, I didn't grow up playing golf,
Yeah.
but when the uh, KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship came here, I volunteered the first year as a
Hmm.
volunteer. Right, I was like,
Yeah,
nothing is happening in my backyard that I'm not going to be a part of.
absolutely.
And through that volunteerism, I actually began forming relationships with people from the PGA and those from Whirlpool who really did the lion's work of bringing that here. And through that, was asked to join the executive committee. And then I decided, you know what, if I'm going to be a part of this, then I
Hmm.
need to know the game, right?
Yeah.
And I picked up my first set of golf clubs and haven't set them down since. So that's what, 6 years ago. And it's the greatest game that I never knew. Right. And
Yeah.
I love it. So golf takes up a bunch of my free time. And I still volunteer. I sit on the board for the Benton Harbor Education Foundation as well as the Benton Harbor Promise. So those are two things that are near and dear to me, that students have the same educational opportunities that I had.
Yeah. Yeah, and with the Harbor Shores, that's one of those things too, of great ways to beautify the community and look at an opportunity for something that, was unused property. They decided to create a golf course, and for some people that may come visit Southwest Michigan for the first time, they'll see that golf course, but they don't know the story behind how that all began, and it was just unused land. And I mean, even Jack Nicklaus, who built and designed the place, it was his response to, "Hey, we want to build a golf course here." And he looked at the site. He was like, "Wait, you want to do what?
You want to do it here, really?
Here, this spot?"
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, and it's been it's definitely been a asset to the
yeah,
community in terms of when we just look at our First Tee golf program,
yeah.
right? Their home golf course is a championship level golf
Hmm.
course. And that's a free program for all youth. And there are a number of Benton Harbor youth involved in the First Tee. There are countless stories of our students not only being involved, but it's led to their post secondary careers as well. And it's really helped develop in our young people not just this love of golf, but that skill set, right?
Yeah.
That can transfer to anything, along with the economic engine that is brought to our region in terms of jobs, in terms of leveraging
Hmm.
tourism dollars. All of those things lead to opportunity. And I think our community and our region right now is positioned to really deliver on that promise of being Michigan's great Southwest.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And like you said, that new looking at the future of our community, and it's the kids that are they're in the First Tee program. Maybe they'll volunteer as well when the tournament comes around. So it's that, and also that impact that something like that has. It helps small businesses that are right
Yeah.
downtown, and it's that great trickle down effect of just helping so many different parts of our community and different aspects that wouldn't have been able to do that. And so on the weekends, you volunteer and do stuff, or when you have a chance.
Yeah, so I have been a part of a number of things, from Girls on the Run
Yeah.
to some of the food drives that's been here in our city. But for the most part, on weekends, I'm a consumer of the beauty of Southwest Michigan. So you can find me, usually you would find me before the pandemic in a local restaurant, right? Because I believe not only in enjoying the beauty, but being part of that
Yeah.
economic stimulus in terms of buying and shopping locally. So
Yeah.
you would find me in a restaurant, you would find me at one of the local ice cream shops, right? It's all about enjoying the
Hmm.
community that we have, right? If others come here for vacation, we live here, right? So why
Right.
are we not enjoying it to the utmost? So weekends are made for relaxing and enjoying time with the family. So,
What would you say? What would you say is something that people may not know about you?
ooh, I got to tell the world that. Or only you, Johnny. Only you could
Okay.
ask me
You
that
know, it's just
question.
between us. I
Yeah,
promise.
yeah. I would say something the the world doesn't know about me is that I am uh, very passionate about writing. Uh,
Oh, okay.
and for probably the last, wow, probably 4 or 5 years, I've been just writing my thoughts down and trying to arrange them and putting together eventually a book
Okay.
about just, there are so many negative things out there.
Sure.
And we can always speak to the problem, and I think we need to speak the problem, but in the same breath of speaking the problem, we must speak the solution. So I enjoy writing, and I hope to very soon publish that book around writing. And my love for writing came from writing poetry. So that's
Yeah.
something people don't know is that I still love poetry and probably
That's
have
awesome.
tons of poems written. So that's the softer side of JP that people don't know about. Right.
I love that. What do you have a title yet for this book that you're working on?
Well, it's going to be kind of like my life slogan.
Okay.
How to make life happen. Because I think too many times we sit back and allow life to just happen without any input from us. So
Yeah.
how do we have that input within our own lives? So how do we make the things happen in our life that we want to happen, right? And you have to be intentional about action. You have to be intentional about your dreams. It's no longer enough to just have the dream. What are you doing to activate that dream? And
Yeah.
really, and showing people that dreams have no expiration date, right? Simply because you haven't done it yet, simply just means you haven't done it yet, and you can still do it because there's no expiration date to your dreams.
Now, where do you go from here? What's the plan for JP in the future?
I think the plan for JP in the future is thinking big. All right, I am looking for what's that thing that 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 I can do that will have an impact. I turned 49 years old this March, right?
Yeah.
So I am 12 months away from 50. So what's that milestone, right? That I can deliver on before my 50th birthday, right? What impact can I make in my community within the next 12 months that could change the landscape of my community? So that's the next big thing that I'm contemplating and looking at and really trying to create what's that next big thing. So follow me to 50. You might be surprised what happens.
Oh man, I love this, and and I look to you for inspiration a lot of times because I mean we're Facebook friends, so
Yes.
I know that I can always rely on you for something for good inspiration. Whether it's a post that you make, you have such a positive energy, and I love that, and that's one
Thank
of
you.
my favorite things about you, and why I consider you a good friend. And look forward to what you have in the future. If you're ever running for public office, mayor or something like that, I think you've already got the perfect campaign slogan, and that's your last name. The price is right.
Hey, there it is. Well,
You
thank
know,
you. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. But if I run, that means you have to be my campaign manager, right?
I would love to do that. I will gladly, whether it's a volunteer basis or paid. I'll either way sign me up for that.
I got you, Johnny. Thank you for that.
Well, Jerry, I've been having a great time getting to know you. I think you've offered me some great insight onto your life, and I hope that other people look at you as a really awesome person in this community. And that's what we want to do with this podcast and the show, is to really highlight those great people that make up our community. And community is more than just the name of the town and the spot on the map. It's about the people that live in that
Yes.
community.
Yes, absolutely. Every person in our county is part of our community. So if we can lessen the gap, if we can stand in the gap, and if we can get to know each other, right, we can make this community greater than it's ever been. And every single person will thrive. When the least of us thrive, the rest of us thrive. So that's been my focus and will always be my focus.
Wonderful. Make life happen.
Make
That's what
life
you got to do.
Yes.
Well, Jerry Price, thank you so much for taking some time to letting me chat you up and talk to you about some great things that you're doing.
Well, thank you, Johnny, and I truly appreciate the opportunity.